Hey guys, if you're enjoying the content I've been putting up, be sure to subscribe so you always know when a new video pops up. Now that we got that part out of the way, let's get into the video. Final Fantasy XIV is a massive game with thousands of hours of content. What I'm going to do here is break down some of the major plot points for those of you who want to know more about Eorzea, but may not have time to experience it all firsthand. This time we're picking up with the third part of our MSQ recap for Shadowbringers. The people of Eulmore always get what they want, and what they want is an artist, so they won't stop until they get one. Crystal gives Alphinaud his favorite paintbrush because if you show up with such a high quality tool, you might be able to trick them into thinking you can paint well enough to be brought inside of their walls. But Alphinaud doesn't have to pretend to be good at art. You saw how well he drew Gosetsu and Yugiri when you hunted for them in Kugane, and Ishtola was adamant about not having him draw his very detailed pictures of her returning from being lost in the ether since she popped out completely naked, something he said he would never forget. So since he's more than talented enough to play the part, he may be able to get the both of you in if you're willing to play the role of his assistant. Of course, the Warrior of Light is willing to go along with the plan, so all that's left to do is wait for the two weird clown ladies to come back. When they show up, they do call for a painter, and Alphinaud convinces them to let the two of you in, although they do call you a parasite that'll probably get thrown out by Alphinaud's new bosses. After they hand out the Miole, you all head into the very beautiful city of Eulmore. The first thing you have to do is register so they can have records of who you are and why you're there to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and to make it easy to hunt you down if you're not. The immigration officer gives you a quick rundown of how things go in the city. There are two types of citizens. The free are the ones who have Valthrie's favor and can do whatever they want. The bonded are the ones who work for the free, performing the duty they were hired for. If you get fired, you'll need to find another free to sponsor you or work as a general laborer. Your patrons are Chai-Nuz and Dulia Chai. They're nice people, but the officer recommends that you be respectful and humble for your own sake, which doesn't make the couple sound all that nice at all. Once your paperwork's done, you're sent to the registrations office. This whole process is a lot like a trip to the DMV, but at least it is a little bit faster. The clerk sees your documents are in order, so you're good to go, except for the fact that the two of you smell like you've been rolling through the sewers in the summertime. Before she sends you anywhere else, the woman sends you straight to the showers, then tells you to be sure to douse yourselves in perfume after you scrub the decaying corpse smell from your body. After that, you'll be able to head to meet the Chais. With the bath done, you're sent to finally meet your patrons in the dining area in the city, and while Alphinaud has a bit of tact, the Warrior of Light has a hard time not staring at Dulia Chai, who is the first fat Mikote she's ever seen. She finds Alphinaud to be adorable, and she loves how he smells, although they find it strange that he brought someone in who wasn't a family member. But honestly, the two of you pretty much are family, so he couldn't possibly have left you behind. Dulia finds his devotion to you so touching that she gives you permission to explore the city while he paints, and her husband agrees because she said so. Clearly, she wears the pants in their family. You explore the city, learning your way around while Alphinaud works. Of course, the first thing Dulia does is have him change into clothes that she likes better, which doesn't have anything to do with painting. But if she takes pleasure in dressing Alphinaud like her personal doll, then her husband is fine with it. This is Eulmore, and whatever the free citizens want, they get. Eventually, she does get around to letting him draw. However, the extra time you have exploring lets you learn that there are some strange things going on in the city. Valthry seems to have influence over the Sin Eaters, which is why he's in charge. And there's talk of something called the Ascension where people are brought to paradise. It makes you wonder where this so-called paradise is. All of this leaves you with a lot to think about, but while Dulia isn't overly concerned about her portrait being completed, Chai-Nuz is, and when he sees the sketch Alphinaud has made, he's not happy with it, despite the drawing being very accurate. The man doesn't want a realistic picture, he wants you to make them look good. He tells Alphinaud to start over, but a scream from within the city causes everyone to stop. A horn sounds and the two clowns who brought you into the city come running out saying that there's a criminal on the loose and Valthry is about to dispense justice that everyone is invited to see. Under normal circumstances, the bonded wouldn't be allowed to watch, but since the rule has been lifted for now, you and Alphinaud join the crowd to see just what Valthry is going to do. Valthry is a disgusting looking man who has a lot of large sin eaters that seems to act as his servants while he stares down at a man bleeding on the floor in front of him. The criminal that everyone was talking about turns out to be Kaishir, the Mikote who you helped get into the city. Alphinaud questions why Valthry has him on the floor, and the leader of Eulmore says that it's because he's a fraud. He claimed to be a businessman, but he proved himself to be a liar, which means he doesn't belong in the city. He ordered the man to throw himself off of the side to atone, but Kashir begged for mercy. Since he considers himself to be a merciful ruler, he offered Kashir another way to atone for his sins. The Sin Eaters are part of Eulmore, but they need living ether to survive, so he ordered Kashir to cut off a part of his own body to feed the creatures, but the boy failed to do even that. Alphinaud can understand why he'd be sent away for lying, but to kill him or torture him seems harsh, but the people around don't even seem to care. Valtteri, however, feels that since he can control the Sin Eaters and provide safety for the people, however, he decides to dole out justice is fair, and those words bring a cheer from the crowd. The Warrior of Light moves to attack the man, a move that would have probably gotten her killed to be honest, but Alphinaud stops her. He goes to heal Kashir before insulting Valtteri and walking out. It takes him a moment to realize that he'd been insulted, which causes him to throw quite a temper tantrum while the citizens of Eulmore look on in silence. You all walk out of the city where, realizing that you won't find allies in Eulmore, Alphinaud decides to come to the Crystarium with you. Kashir is done taking charity and plans on figuring out how to survive on his own. Surprisingly, the Chais followed you out of the city. Dulia saw Alphinaud's portrait and she loved it. She wants him to come back, and she's willing to help sort things out with Valtteri, but he's not coming back, not until he can fix the corruption in the city. Back in the Crystarium with the Exarch and the twins, the time has come to work on the task of getting rid of the Sin Eaters, and while it may look hopeless, there is a way to do it. There's a hierarchy among the Sin Eaters, and the weaker ones serve the strongest, the Sin Eaters known as the Light Wardens. And there aren't very many of them. If you take them out, the lesser Sin Eaters may scatter. After what you saw in Eulmore, Alphinaud isn't so sure that Valtteri won't have a problem if you start taking down the Light Wardens, since if you get rid of the creatures, he won't have a hold on his people anymore. The Exarch agrees, which means Valtteri will have to be distracted while you handle the Wardens. The Exarch puts a lot of faith in the fact that dealing with the Wardens will stop the 8th calamity from happening. It doesn't seem like it could possibly be that simple, but that's only because there's so much that you don't understand. So the Exarch uses the power of the Crystal Tower to explain things to you just a little better than words could. Long ago, the world was shattered into 14 different worlds, the source where you're from, and 13 tinier shards. They may be separate, but they are still linked to the source and each other. Each shard has a dominant element, and if there is some type of outside stimuli, it could shift the ether of the shard out of balance, and the excess ether will return to the source, causing changes to the land. If the ether that leaves the shard is water-based, then there will be floods on the source. Fire ether will cause droughts and wildfires. Ice would cause blizzards and so on and so forth. If the extra ether keeps flowing to the source, the barrier between the source and that shard will shatter, causing a major disaster or calamity on the source as the shard is merged with the source in its entirety. Each of the umbral calamities has been an event like this. The one you constantly hear about is the 7th with Bahamut and the moon Dalamud, but the others were just as devastating, if not more so, to the source. One day I'm going to do a breakdown of each of them because you constantly see them referenced in other stories, but for now just know that each calamity was a shard of the original unsundered world rejoining with the source. And in its current state, the first is getting ready to rejoin with the source as well. But if you rebalance the ether of the first, then you'll prevent the next calamity. And the Sin Eaters are the reason the light ether is out of control. The Light Wardens don't just draw in other Sin Eaters, but they radiate light ether, flooding their domains with light. Even in the areas that were saved from the flood, the Sin Eater's light prevents the night sky from ever coming back. So in short, they need to die. But even though they all knew what needed to be done, they couldn't do it without the Warrior of Light. There's a valid reason for this, but before it can be explained to you, Lena, the guard you met on your first visit to the Crystarium, comes running in to let the Exarch know that the village of Holminster Switch is asking for reinforcements. A large number of Sin Eaters are attacking them, and they don't know how long they can hold them off. Without hesitation, Alphinaud and Alisaie rush off to help, and the Exarch wants you to join him because he believes that your strength will be needed, since the Light Warden is undoubtedly a part of the group attacking the village. And that's where we're going to stop for today. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on the next part of the story.